what does sex mean? And can we impose that onto the non-human? Are they engaging in sex with us, or is it just humans having sex with, I don't know, this being that doesn't consider that sex? But I don't know how to.
Really quick off of both of them. So this conversation about changing the societal norm of sex is absolutely interesting. Definitely something that's open to debate and could potentially in the future change the way that we think about things. Unfortunately, it doesn't change how we think of things right now. So there may be two people in this room that think that 11-year-olds, it's perfectly natural for them to start having sex. Unfortunately, everybody else in the building doesn't agree. Until that change happens, until you go through the trouble, fighting that discourse, getting minds changed, then there will continue to be this emotional connection with sex. There's nothing we can do about that right this second. So the conversation isn't bestiality or zoophilia or any of these other kinds of things. It's how do we as a society deal with sex. We could start there. And then after that conversation has run its course, maybe then we can start talking about things like bestiality and stuff like that. But right now, there is emotional consequences, both for the animal, as you discussed yesterday, both for the animal and for the human being when bestiality occurs. Until we remove that, whatever that condition is that causes those circumstances or those changes in behavior, then we have to deal with it. We still have to take those behaviors into account.
This isn't a solution or anything, but what I'm noticing in the rhetoric, it kind of comes up in the way you speak as well, which I think we all participate in, is that it sets the neutral position as the human in much the way that when we talk about race studies, if we don't include studying whiteness, the white position becomes the neutral position. And the problem that we face in critical animal studies is that we still face this barrier of communication, and I haven't adequately seen that resolved. But at the end of the day, to situate the human as the subject that has to make these decisions totally negates the position of the non-human animal as an agent, having any potential for agency, and I don't know, that strikes me as pretty problematic, but again, I don't have a solution to that problem.
I will say this, and this is from my own perspective, this is just talking about me. For one, I'm not an animal advocate. Critical animal studies is not my particular realm. This is my first foray into it. So, and I've learned a great deal. I've had some mind-changing learning experiences while I'm here, but it took me 3 hours to pack because I had to try and sift all the leather out. Because I didn't even think about that sort of thing. I had, leather belts. That's all I had. I didn't have anything that wasn't a leather belt. I had to go find a pair of pleather shoes. It took 3 trips to 3 different stores. So all of this kind of stuff, where as a non-animal ethics theorist, a lot of that kind of stuff is beyond me as of right now. So from my perspective, it's my sport stuff.
Doing something tons of time thinking about it.
Yeah, it's not sport stuff. There's no doubt. I do think that it's important for people to be aware. I feel like I'm much more aware now than I was when I got here. And I will start to implement that into my work. I think that's where you guys are going to be successful. And I say you guys as if like you're separate from me, but you separate undergraduates from graduates because one knows more than the other by sheer just number of times they've had to go to school. So I'm kind of the undergraduate here when it comes to critical animal studies. But what I do think I bring to the table is that outside perspective. And I can tell you from that outside perspective, right now, people still think of animals as its. And it's difficult for me to make that separation. It's very difficult with each conversation. I have to be very conscious of everything that I'm saying because I might slip into an it or the speciesism or any of these kinds of things. This was true of when I first started learning feminism too. Why? Because I'm in a culture as a white male of a certain kind of privilege that I never realized. I don't feel guilty about that, But there is an awareness that goes with it. If you are a white male, and you go through life just like, I don't know what everybody's screaming about, things are fine. Then that just means you haven't looked at these perspectives, but you still have to be very conscious of them. And I think that for the most part, if you're going to change people's minds about that species agency, that change of outlook, then again, you have to start there. And I really think that from the outside, I know we kind of got off topic, but I think that this is really interesting, and I think it's really important. If you're going to get people from outside this perspective to understand what it is that you're saying, you have to start at that lowest level. Because if that doesn't click with them, then hen cages and I don't even know what battery cage is, but whatever that stuff is, that's not going to matter to them. They don't get it yet because they don't have that fundamental piece first. So learning about that sort of stuff while it's here will change the way that I deal with the outside world. That's true of everybody. But if you go down to a place that sells stuff and you throw a big fit about that, well, now people just think that you're throwing a fit. They don't get what that root is, that these are living things with agency, and that they deserve an equal degree of consideration. All of that kind of stuff doesn't matter to them because you're just throwing a fit in front of their store. I understand you have to start somewhere. I do get that. But I think that we expect certain kinds of change. And this is true of me too, because I talk virtue theory all day. And if I haven't laid out a baseline for someone that's not a virtue theorist, a lot of times I'm just talking in their head. I don't know what you're talking about. And that's how I was like during the first 3 or 4 talks. I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Our time is actually officially up, and I think this is a really, really good dialogue. It's very helpful to me. I hope it's been helpful to the panelists. So I would encourage you to, I don't think we have to get out of the room if you want to continue to stay and talk, but when lunch has started, so now it's just not a moderated thing. Continue as you will.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.